Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gills, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. I see we've got lots of people here today. I see BGD, welcome. Theo Capist, wave, hello. Inner Lights here, and also Retro Nerd Girl, wonderful. Good to see you this morning. Good to see you. This morning, I did not heed the call to adventure. I slept in late today, so that didn't happen, but that's all right. Going to continue going forward with the day and make great things happen today. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Song of Ice and Fire RPG. That one was brought up on the wind down a couple of nights ago, and that's been one that I have wanted to look at for different reasons here on this show, because something about, we're going to look at how to play, but also something about how it creates characters, and especially the whole adventuring party, I wanted to take a look at because I thought that it might be relevant to potentially how things were done in Rabithania. So we're going to take a look at the Song of Ice and Fire RPG today from that perspective. There's still a few other ones that I want to take a look at. I want to take a look at White Hack and Black Hack, especially, but I realize that I'm getting close on a lot of things to being the point where my core creative time is going to have to be writing things. It's about time for that to start. and then be able to start putting out some more things about constructing an RPG and then constructing worlds and other games and things like that, and also the stories. So I think I'm just about at the point where I know what I've got to write, and can write stuff, and I know the words won't be wasted, and that's going to be really cool. We should, so that's what we're looking at. We should sip and breathe. We should sip and breathe, or breathe and sip. We should breathe and sip. All right, very good. Let's go to the messages. I still have not heard back. Let me check my email from some information on that. I got a lot of email to go through too. We'll see. Oh, hey, Stray. So we'll see about that. But don't forget, this Friday coming up, last night for the Cultists. Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, new episodes of The Cultists Season 2 are premiering. It's our comedy web show about modern-day Lovecraftian cultists just trying to worship Cthulhu in a world full of people who don't understand.
Fish are friends, not food!
I'm a little worried about Rob.
Yes, it's happening.
Ever since we tried to summon Cthulhu, he hasn't been the same.
I'm growing gills. Gills! My transformation into a deep one has finally begun.
Rob, we don't see any gills.
It's these kids getting involved in all this stuff causes them to go crazy.
There's a live after party after every show with me, Heath. I'm the creator, co-writer, and producer of the show. I also play Steve, and other members of the cast and crew. Catch those live or on replay. If you need to catch up on the Cultist show, both Season 1 and Season 2 are on my YouTube channel. Just go to the playlist. Each episode is about 5 to 7 minutes long. We've also developed a social deduction and miniature game based on the Cultists that we want to launch on GameFound. Check this out. Ready for a Cthulhu Cultist party game of spellcasting and betrayal? Welcome to Ritual.
This is just our gaming group.
Indeed, but your gaming group is all you need to delve into the madness-inducing rituals necessary to summon Cthulhu. Click the link below to visit the GameFound page, follow the project, and learn more.
You've not been further compromised by the Yellow King, have you?
Check out the GameFound page for more about the game and for a brief rundown on how to play. When you follow the game on GameFound, you can get updates about the game's development before the project goes live. And you'll get a free Rob, High Priest of Dagon miniature in battle pose if you decide to back the game when the campaign goes live. There is even an opportunity to get an advanced copy of the rules and participate in the playtest for rules review. We'd like everyone who's a fan of the Cultists to be involved. You can get all of the links you need in the chat or in the description below. The Morning Grind is brought to you by Ravenkeep. That's the company that I set up to publish the things that we are making here on the show. Check out ravenkeep.net. You'll find merchandise from the Cultists, such as mugs and coffee, as well as board games, the Goodnight Sword ebook, and the Terra Tiles pre-order. Terra Tiles are the terrain system that my brother and I developed that I'm currently re-releasing. Terra Tiles are the easiest way to get great-looking terrain on your table. They are bright and colorful and ready to play right out of the box. There's nothing to print, paint, or assemble, and Terra Tiles are large, thick, and durable, being 9 inches from point to point. That's large enough to make setting them up quick and easy, while also being the perfect size to create really varied and organic-looking terrain setups for your table. This reprint is being produced in very limited numbers, so if you want one, you need to put in a pre-order so a box will get your name put on it. The holiday... let's go from there. Welcome, Matt. See, there was something else I was saying, or thinking about, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, I remember. This Friday, remember, because it's the last episode of The Cultists, the giveaway this Friday are the Call of Cthulhu RPG books. I got to email the core list about that, so I got to put that up by email as well. But we'll be doing this giveaway this Friday. So big deal this Friday. All right, let me bring up A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, I noticed, get my windows set, I noticed that they have this. This is their quick start guide. And we like those around here. Oh, good morning, Ryan. I just briefly flipped through this to see what was in it, and it looks like exactly the kind of information that we are looking for and that we like when we are trying to figure out how to play things. So let's take a look at this. Has anyone played this before? I forget who brought this up and was saying that it was a good RPG. I think on the wind down. I forget who that was. So I know at least one person has been through this one. This is by Green Ronin. But this says these are the quick start rules here: adventure, war, and intrigue in George R. R. Martin's World of Westeros. So after what is role-playing and what is a role-playing game, we get down to how to use this book. And it says, A Song of Ice and Fire role-playing quick start is intended to give you a taste of the Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game and how it plays. Included in this book is a summary of the game's rules and how it's played, along with a short introductory adventure, Journey to King's Landing, wherein a small band of characters travel through the Seven Kingdoms and face danger at one of their stops along the way. You will find a complete set of pre-generated characters for playing this adventure. And as you know, I love pre-generated characters. Oh, Inner Light has got this one. Have you played it? Oh, it says that it has some interesting ideas. It has some interesting ideas, and I like the house creation method as I've used it for other games. I think that's what I was talking about how the thing that I liked about creating the adventuring party. That yeah, you're basically creating your own house, and people are playing different roles, or you can do it that way, as I recall. I think that's a good way. I think that was a really interesting way to tie the party together, because I don't like it when, hey, everybody, just create whatever character you want. You end up with this really eclectic collection of characters, and then it's, oh, hey, you all met in a bar, and now you've decided to adventure together. I mean, you can do it that way. That's fine. I've played lots of games that way, but I like the ones where the players have more connection to one another. Ryan says, I have not, but I love A Song of Ice and Fire. Read every ounce of writing for it. And Trey says it sounds very similar to the Dune house mechanics. It wouldn't surprise me. I have, excuse me, I've also been a big fan of the books and the TV show up to a certain time. But as you notice, this is actually A Song of Ice and Fire. It's not Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones is the HBO thing. So they've got that as a brand. So there's nothing in here there's HBO Game of Thrones. It's just George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. Okay, so what else is in here? So we do have the World of Ice and Fire. They start off here with a bit of information about the world. I think that's fine, setting the stage. But then we do get right into characters, and not how to create characters, because we're going to have pre-generated characters for this adventure. But this is what we want to know. What are characters like? In fact, let's see if we can flip to one of those pre-generated characters first. I don't know if they're in here or not. Oh, yep. Okay. That looked like a pre-generated character. Okay. So here is one. Lord Riss. Information about him. So here we've got abilities: animal handling 2, cunning 3, endurance 3, fighting 3, language common tongue 3. It looks like we might have a specialty over here. So animal handling 2, ride 1B. We've got long blades here. Looks like a specialty of fighting. Bows looks like a specialty of marksmanship. Persuasion status 6. That's our highest one yet. With breeding 1B and stewardship 1B. Warfare 3 and command 1B and will. I've noticed that it uses the term abilities for basically all like skills. So attributes: awareness 2, intrigue, defense, composure, move, sprint, combat defense 5 with shield, armor rating 5, health 9. And then we've got information on attacking with a longsword, shield, and hunting bow, personal gear, and then destiny points, qualities, destiny points. You have 2 destiny points to spend during the game. See destiny points for a brief summary of what you can do with them. Head of house. You command your house and are responsible for the upkeep of your lands, the security of your people, and the dispensation of your fortunes. Add +2 to the results of all status tests. Head for numbers. Whenever you roll for household events, you may add your cunning rank to the status test result. In addition, testing status to generate funds for you or your household, you may re-roll a number of ones equal to your rank in stewardship, or 1 in your case. Weapon mastery. When you wield a longsword in combat, you increase its damage by 1. Inner Light says, I think the only house mechanic that is more complex is the one from the Dragon Age RPG. Oh, interesting. All right, so that is a sample character, and that's basically what we're going to be looking at right here. So let's go back up and check out what we need to know about this character. Okay, here we go. So characters, what does this mean? Important terms. Let's look at this. I like they pulled this out. So an ability is one of the defining game traits of a character. Abilities are measured by rank. An ability test or simply a test, using an ability to attempt to perform the action where an outcome is in doubt. A test involves rolling a number of 6-sided dice, the test dice, equal to the tested ability's rank and adding them together. Okay, so we saw these were ranked, so that's what that means. Rank 6 would be roll 6 6-sided dice and add the results together. Bonus die. A bonus die is an extra die rolled during an ability test, but then a number of low dice equal to the number of bonus dice is dropped from the test before the remaining dice are added to determine the result. So it's a extra die rolled during an ability test, but then a number of low dice equal to the number of bonus dice rolled is dropped. Okay, we'll have to see how that goes. Character. A player assumed a character, okay, degree of success, a measure of how successful an ability test is beyond mere success or failure. Destiny points, a measure of the character's future potential used by players during the game to influence fate and outcomes where the character is concerned. A drawback is a character quality with a negative effect on the character, such as a disability. Modifier. Penalty dice. So penalty dice, a die subtracted from the test dice, starting with the lowest first, after any bonus dice have been discarded, before the dice are summed to determine the result. We're going to have to read more about that. I'm not exactly clear on that. Quality, a positive character quality, providing a particular defined advantage during the game. Rank, a measure of the character's ability, ranging from 1 impaired to 7 legendary. Abilities have an average rank of 2 by default. Okay, so this is what we've got over here for abilities. Oh, the bonus dice replace the lower die. Oh, okay. So when we're adding all of these together, bonus die don't give you more dice. They just replace lower dice. Let's see, bonus die. A bonus die is an extra die rolled during an ability test, but then a number of low dice equal to the number of bonus dice rolled is dropped from the test before the remaining dice are added. Okay. Yeah. When you say replaced, that makes me more sense. That makes more sense to me. So, got it. It's keeping you from the bonus dice, therefore, wouldn't let you exceed your wouldn't let you exceed the maximum you could roll because of your ranks then. It's just making sure that it's higher and closer to your maximum. And I guess the same way with the penalty dice. So, okay, so everything is this rank then. Listed like athletics 2 or fighting 4. The better the rank, the better you are in it. So we said that the rank 2 is average. Rank 1 is therefore deficient. Even routine tasks or challenges. A challenge. Talented, trained, accomplished master. So that guy had a rank 6 and something about running the household or something, right? So he was the master in that. Rank 7 paragon. Rank 7 is as high as any can hope to achieve. So rare is this rank, people with this level of ability are considered legends once in a generation, if that. Okay. At rank 6, you are considered one of the best in the world. People use you as an example, seek you out to learn and improve their training, or simply to meet you. And rank 5 is intensive training coupled with natural talents places you far above the common man. In fact, people with rank 5 are often the best at what they do in an area, having surpassed their peers in this craft. Okay. I like descriptions like that to understand exactly how good that is. Do you really need to be rank 7? Well, then you're once in a generation, so probably not. And what these ranks should be. Oh, so specialties. We do have specialties. Where rank represents talent combined with training, specialties reflect a narrowing of an ability's focus, the result of specific development in one of the many areas the ability encompasses. Specialties, like abilities, are ranked from 1 to 7. They are designated as a numbered followed by a B for bonus. I was wondering if that was because they were ranked 1B or 3B, 2B. I was wondering if that had to do with bonus dice. So it does. So specialties allow you to roll bonus dice when they are designated by a number followed by B. So if you have rank 2 in the Axes specialty, you would note it as Axes 2B. Your specialty rank cannot exceed your ability rank. Your rank in a specialty provides a number of bonus dice towards your ability test. Also, when an opponent tests against your passive test result, you may add the ranks of a specialty that most closely applies to the passive test. For instance, if a spy tries to sneak past you, he rolls a stealth test against your passive awareness test. Assuming you have awareness 4, your passive result would be 16. 4 times rank 4. Assuming you have an awareness 4, your passive result would be 16. 4 times rank 4, okay? If, however, you have a notice 2 specialty, your passive result would be 18. 16 plus 2. So now here we've got all of our ability descriptions. These are brief descriptions of abilities and what they do. Agility, animal handling. So it's mixing all of what we might consider skills and core attributes kind of together in other systems. And they're just calling them the abilities that you can check against. So we've got agility, animal handling, athletics, awareness, cunning, deception, endurance, fighting. And fighting means whenever you would attack unarmed or using handheld weapons, you test fighting. Healing, knowledge, language, marksmanship. Marksmanship represents your skill and accuracy with ranged weapons. Persuasion, status, stealth, survival, thievery, warfare, and will. All right. So destiny. Don't we have destiny points? Yeah, we got destiny points. Destiny is the ability to shape the outcome of your experiences by subtly altering the stories in ways that will let you overcome adversity and lift yourself above the fickle fortunes of mere luck. As your character grows older and more accomplished, you may invest your destiny into qualities which manifest as specific advantages, but also ground you, binding you to the fabric of the setting. Each time you acquire a quality, you bring yourself closer to realizing your destiny. Of course, you might resist, you might flee your fate, but then who's to say your flight wasn't planned all along? So your fate lives in destiny points. Through them, you take control of the story, create opportunities where none exist, escape near certain death, or use them to advance your own cause. You may use your destiny points in one of 3 ways: spend, burn, or invest. You spend a destiny point to change the game in a minor way. You burn a destiny point to change the game in a significant way. Or you invest a destiny point to acquire a permanent benefit. Younger characters have more destiny points, while older characters have fewer because they have invested more of them. Okay, that's interesting. While older characters have fewer because they've invested more of them. Investing destiny points is detailed in the core rulebook, while spending and burning them are described here. Okay, so yeah, I think it was 6 in status. Yeah, I think it was. So that guy knows what he's talking about as far as running his household and being a lord goes. Okay, so the easiest thing you can do is spend destiny points. You might alter the outcome of a test or assume narrative control over the story in some minor way. How many destiny points are we going to get? Oh, that guy had 2, right? So when you spend a destiny point, you cannot use it again until you achieve so you can reuse those. Okay. So spending, once you spend a destiny point, you cannot reuse it again until you achieve a story goal, the climax of a particular chapter of your character's life. Since you should be able to achieve a story goal in 1 or 2 game sessions, you are rarely without your destiny points for long. Okay. So you can spend a destiny point at any time, even when it's not your turn, though it's polite to let others finish their turns first. You may only spend a single destiny point at any time for any of the following effects. Gain a +1 bonus on a test. Oh, bonus die. Gain +1 bonus die on a test. This die cannot exceed the normal limits on bonus dice. Convert one of your bonus dice to a test die. Oh, so if you convert a bonus die to a test die, then you are actually expanding your potential range because you're going to be adding more dice together. Remove -1 penalty die. Bestow -1 penalty die on an opponent for a test. Take an extra lesser action. Ignore your armor penalty for 1 round. Improve or worsen a character's disposition by 1 step. Negate another character's use of a spent destiny point. Add a minor detail to a scene, such as a shoddy lock, a minor clue, or some useful but other element that can help move the story along. Okay. And those you get back. So if you do that, you get it back once you complete a chapter of the game. But you can also burn them. When spending destiny points is not enough, you can burn a destiny point for much greater effect. Burning a destiny point permanently reduces the number of destiny points that you have. In effect, they function like extra lives, giving you more control of the dice when they turn against you. Destiny points are rare and precious commodities, so burn them wisely. As with spending destiny points, you may only burn 1 at a time. A burned destiny point can achieve 1 or more of the following results. Convert all of your bonus dice into test dice for 1 test. Oh, that would be powerful. Especially if you have a lot of them. They can't exceed your ranks, right? But if you're up there, man, you could really throw down with a lot of dice then. Add +5 to one of your test results. Automatically succeed on 1 test if you had rolled the difficulty, as if you had rolled the difficulty exactly. Remove all damage and injuries, though not wounds. Okay, I guess we're dealing with wounds here, which makes sense within the Song of Ice and Fire universe. Maybe we're not just dealing with hit point damage. When defeated, decide the consequences of your own defeat. Transform another character's successful test into a failed test. Automatically compel another character into intrigue. Permanently remove the penalties associated with negative quality. Negate the effects of another character's burned destiny point. Add a significant detail to the scene, such as gaining a major clue, finding a way out of a nasty predicament, or some other significant and useful element that shifts the story in your favor. Or avoid certain death. When you use this option, your character is presumed dead and is removed from the story until such time as the narrator deems it appropriate for the character's return. So that is like extra life. Okay. Investing destiny points talked about later. Qualities, drawbacks. Some characters have drawbacks, negative qualities. That seems very A Song of Ice and Fire-ish, imposing some penalty or difficulty to the character. Okay, this is the dice then. You'll need at least 10 dice, but having more can't hurt. And everybody's got stacks and stacks of D6 dice, so that shouldn't be a problem. So the number of dice rolled describe your chances of success at the task. When you try to do something, you are said to be testing the ability or rolling an ability test. These dice are called test dice, and when you roll them, you add up the result. So a test rank of 3 ability, for example, a rank of 3 ability, when you roll 3 6-sided dice. Say you get a 2, 3, and a 5. You add up those results to get a 10. Sometimes you'll get to roll additional dice called bonus dice. Bonus dice are not added, but instead improve your chances of getting a better result. You never roll bonus dice by themselves, but roll them along with your test dice and keep the highest dice equal to your test dice. And then keep the highest dice equal to your test dice. I guess that's the number you're rolling, right? Bonus dice are abbreviated with $ B, with the number $ describing how many dice you get to roll. So in the previous example, if you test a rank 3 ability with 2 bonus dice, you roll 5 6-sided dice and add up the 3 highest numbers. That's an easy way to say it. Which one? Right here. Power resides where men believe it resides. No more or no less. That one. Let's see. Inner Light says, I love the quote from Varys that popped up for a moment. Was that the right one? That's such a major part of A Song of Ice and Fire. Okay, Okay, so then we also have modifiers. Modifiers is a bonus or penalty applied to a test result. Modifiers are expressed as positive and negative numbers telling you what to subtract or add from your result. Penalty dice are drawbacks imposed by wounds, flaws, and certain actions. Each penalty die cancels one test die when adding up your result, starting with the lowest remaining dice. You apply the penalty dice after you roll and drop any bonus dice. Penalty dice are abbreviated as $P. So if you see -1P, it means you have one penalty die. Okay, let's see the example here. I need it. Steve's character Reinhardt suffers a wound, imposing one penalty dice on all tests, or one penalty die on all tests. In the thick of combat, he shoots an arrow from his longbow at a charging wildling. Steve has marksmanship 4, bows 2. He rolls 6 dice, because that would be 4 for marksmanship, 2 because he's specialized in bows. So he's rolling 6 dice. He gets a 6, 5, 4, 4, 3, and 1. He drops the 1 and the 3 for his bonus dice, but he must also drop one of his 4s because if the penalty die from his wound, because of the penalty die from his wound, giving him a result of 15. Oh, okay. So I thought you were actually rolling a penalty die, but you're not. You roll bonus dice, but then penalty dice cancels one. So you're not actually rolling a penalty die. You just have a -1 penalty die. So that cancels an additional test die when adding up your result with the lowest number. Gotcha. Let's see here. So our procedure here is declaring an action, choosing the ability that's associated with it, setting the difficulty, rolling the dice, sum the dice, and applying modifiers, comparing to the test difficulty, and then describe the outcome. Let's see about setting the difficulty. Once the ability is determined, are we going to get some information here on what is easy and what's hard? Once the ability is determined, the narrator sets the test difficulty. The difficulty describes the complexity and challenge of the task. To help assess how hard a task is, a difficulty number has a descriptor, such as routine for difficulty 6, challenging for difficulty 9, and so forth. See difficulty later on. Okay, well, hold on. Let's go take a look at that. Okay, so here are our ratings. Every action has a difficulty, a number that describes how hard the action is to accomplish. If your test results equal or exceeds the difficulty, your attempt succeeds. Difficulties are ranked in 3-point increments, starting with 0 for automatic actions and climbing all the way to 21 or higher for nearly impossible ones. So automatic is 0, easy tasks are 6, easy tasks are 3, routine is 6, challenging is 9. So formidable is 12. So that tells me, and hard is 15. So I suppose you're going to be rolling against 9 a lot. It seems like then, as the game master, you're going to have to make these calls. So challenging stuff is 9, formidable 12, 15. That's probably the kinds of numbers you're going to be calling out a lot, I think. Now, this is degree of success. Let's look at that while we're here. You only need to equal the test difficulty to get a success. Beating the difficulty by a significant degree, however, can produce greater results. For many tests, you complete the action a bit faster or with slightly improved results. For some, such as fighting or marksmanship tests, you can deal additional damage with a greater degree of success. So if you succeed 0 to 4, that's marginal success. So you don't actually start getting additional degrees of success until you beat the target number by 5. 5 to 9 is 2, great to success. 10 to 15 is 3, incredible success. 15 is astonishing success. Many times, marginal success is all you need. However, the narrator may require a success by a particular degree for an action to succeed, especially when time and quality are factors. For example, successfully singing a dirge for the fallen son of a powerful lord may be a challenging test, but if the character wishes a private audience with the lord, he may need an incredible success, 3 degrees on the same test, effectively making it a very hard test. Of course, not achieving the required degree of success doesn't mean the character didn't perform well, just not well enough to achieve the desired goal. Is there anything else we need to look at? I think I'm basically understanding how to play here. We were just up here. do have rules for other kinds of tests. We could look at a combat. I kind of think we should look at combat and then go look at creating your house in the other book. What do you think? Yeah. Yeah, the penalty dice just take out the lowest result. Yeah, I kind of agree. This game has complex ways of describing simple rules. I think, yeah, I think it's rather simple here, but I had to read a couple of things to realize what was going on. The example there was good. They needed the example there to show it off. So basically, we're looking at an average of 3 dice for most tests for the difficulty rating. Oh, right. So, yeah. So that's probably what they did. We're looking at an average of 3 dice for most tests. The average of 1, 3, 2, and 3. And that's probably intended, therefore, to scale with your ranks, right? So if you're injured to the point where you're only rolling 2 dice, you're going to start burning destiny points pretty quickly. Good point. Good point. So probably, yeah, what they were trying to do with the game's design is say we've got ranks, we're always adding D6s. We've got difficulties, and we're just taking averages of dice. That's probably why it's going up by 3. The average might be 3.5, but so they just erred on 3 and said we'll step up difficulties by 3 because that's roughly the average when you're adding another die in or something like that. Probably the structure they were going for on. All right, let's see how we fight then. Okay, so when combat begins, we break gameplay into discrete moments called rounds, each lasting approximately 6 seconds. Everybody gets to act. They choose a variety of actions. Most fall into 3 different groups: greater, lesser, and free. A greater action consumes the largest chunk of the combatant's turn, representing a furious series of sword blows, running across the battlefield, and so on. Lesser actions are similar to greater actions, but they take up less time, allowing you to combine 2 lesser actions on your turn instead of taking 1 greater action. You can't save unspent lesser actions for the following round, so be sure to use them before the round ends. And finally, free actions consume very little time. Usually these things include shouting orders to men under your command, drawing a weapon, and just about anything else that consumes little or no time. Generally, you can perform as many free actions as you like, but your narrator may judge extensive conversation or rooting around in the saddlebag more time-consuming than a free action allows. The objective of every combat is to defeat your enemies. Defeat usually, but not always, means killing your foes. However, if your opponent yields, flees, or knocked unconscious, you've still defeated him. The currency of defeat is damage, and most combat actions are geared toward dealing enough damage to maim or force your enemy to yield. Kill, maim, or force your enemy to yield. Since healing and recovery are uncertain in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, rare is the combat that goes to the bitter end. So, the primary method for dealing damage is through conflict tests. You test fighting or marksmanship against your opponent's defense. A success deals damage determined by the weapon you're using, with extra damage gained by getting degrees of success. The opponent's armor rating reduces the damage, but any leftover comes off your opponent's health. Once you've reduced the opponent to 0 health, you've defeated him and decide the consequences of his defeat. So, certain abilities, key abilities, you derive vital combat statistics such as your combat defense, health, and movement. What follows are a summary of the game's combat statistics and methods for coming up with their values. So, weapon, battle axe, hand axe, this is the specialty. So this is the specialty that would be within the fighting category, right? Like we've seen long blade. So, but like bastard and long swords are under long blade specialties. Stiletto, spear, tourney lance, bow, double curved. The damage that it does, is that your athletics rank, or is that the number? I bet that's not static. I bet that's dice, right? So the battle axe would roll, you would roll your athletics dice for damage. And then different qualities, I think we will figure out what those are as well here in a moment. So like we got shields as weapons here. But a spear also rolls athletics. A longbow would roll agility +2. That's a straight number. So if I'm reading that right, that would be your agility dice +2 for damage. So the first line of defense against an attack is your combat defense. It equals your ranks in agility plus athletics plus awareness plus defense bonus from shields or parrying weapons minus armor penalty from armor worn. So as an example, Hal calculates his Hedge Knight's combat defense. He has agility 3, athletics 4, and awareness 3. His base combat defense is 10. So those numbers add up. So, yeah, so 3 plus 4 plus 3 is 10. Okay, makes sense. When armed with a large shield, he increases his combat defense to 14, and when wearing his full plate armor, he drops his combat defense to 8. His large shield has a defense rating of +4, and his full plate has an armor penalty of -6. Because we are talking about the difference between avoiding being hit, which the armor doesn't help you with. In fact, in this case, the armor can actually make it easier to hit you, but the armor is going to make it less likely you're going to be damaged when you get hit. So you think damage is ability ranks, not dice, so it's static, but individual to each combatant? It could be. I'm sure there's got to be damage here someplace. Yep, okay, we do have information here on damage. Let's look at that since the question has come up. The damage a weapon deals is derived from both its construction and the ability of its wielder. The base damage is equal to your rank in the listed ability. Many weapons include modifiers as well, which you will add or subtract from your rank in the associated ability. Most fighting weapons use athletics and most ranged weapons use agility, but there are exceptions. Multiply this base damage by the degree of success on your attack test. So a marginal success with 1 degree does the base damage, 2 degrees do double that, 3 degrees triple, and so forth. Only after you have totaled the damage by degrees do you reduce it by your opponent's armor rating. Okay, so that I guess that it is static. Base damage is equal to your rank. But to me, that is still a little bit confusing way to say that, because when we're rolling tests, and maybe it is clearer and more standard across the entire thing, but when we're rolling tests, it's telling you to roll d6. I guess it's explicitly telling you to roll d6s equal to the number of ranks you've got. And here, it's not telling you for damage you're not rolling dice equal to your number of ranks. You're just taking your number of ranks. So your ranks are not automatically dice anytime they're used. Trey says, this game has some interesting mechanics, but for me, it's a little bit bloated for easy resolution. And I suppose this is also one where you're needing to add up potentially a lot of dice. We were talking about that with West End Star Wars. You were saying that there's potentially a lot of dice that you have to roll if you've got high ranks and stuff. So this might be the same kind of thing. You might be adding up 7 dice and then bonus dice and penalty dice at the high end of competency. FYI, he says, this is a game that I have not read yet. I did go through it once, but it's been a long time. Okay, so let's go back up. Health is your ability to absorb damage and keep fighting. It doesn't matter how much damage you've taken to your health, so long as you have at least 1 point left, your abilities aren't reduced and you can keep fighting. So no death spiral here. Health is equal to endurance rank times 3. Hal's Hedge Knight has endurance 4, so his health is 12. Move is how far you can move when you take a move action. Most characters move 4 yards when unarmored or unburdened. For every 2 bonus dice of the run specialty, you move an extra yard. Okay, so armor table. So here's our armor table. Clothing, robe, vestments, leather armor, soft, leather hard, ring, mail, breastplate, scale, plate and mail, and full plate. Armor rating 0 to 10. Armor penalty, so that's coming off of your combat defense. And then here is our bulk right here. So armor rating, armor offers some degree of protection represented by its armor rating. When you take damage in combat, you reduce the damage taken by your armor rating. Damage can be reduced to 0, but not below 0. Armor penalty. Armor can turn aside killing blows, but it does so at a cost. Heavier forms of armor interfere with your movements, making you slower to react and making it more difficult to maintain your balance in the heat of combat. So that's your adjustment to combat defense. Armor bulk. Heavier armor imposes bulk. As mentioned, every 2 points of bulk reduces your move by 1 yard, and every point of bulk reduces your sprint speed by 1 yard. Okay. So here are the different qualities that a weapon can have. Adaptable, bulk, close range, defense, fast, grab, long range, mounted, offhand, piercing, powerful. Strong characters can put more muscle behind powerful weapons and thus deal more damage with a successful hit. For every bonus die you have in strength, you can increase a powerful weapon's damage by +1 when you successfully hit. Reach, reload, shattering, slow, and two-handed. Those are like tags for each from the different weapons. Combat sequence: initiative, action, resolution. Initiative, action, and resolution. Okay. Access Your Inner Light says, yep, I think this is one of the reasons why I only use, the only thing I use from it is the house creation section. Inner Light also says, other systems have much more elegant systems for combat and task resolution. BGD says, I agree with Trey. I can't be sure without playing it, but at first look, the system seems to suffer from a lot of fairly arbitrary complexity. It uses a lot of different non-parallel mechanics and seems to put a ton of mechanical support into aspects of the game that aren't necessary by its main thematic focus. That's interesting because we've talked a lot about, I think, or I have, one of the things that I like in a game is to have a unified core resolution mechanic when you're trying to do an action that keeps you out of the rule book. That if you are doing and it's kind of an old school way to play. We saw this within basic fantasy, that there are arbitrary ways of accomplishing different kinds of tasks. So you always have to look up, like, how do I accomplish this task? How do I do this? You have to look it up. To me, having a unified core mechanic that you always apply during actions is because then once you learn that, you've learned how to play, and then you just apply that mechanic over and over and over again. So Trey says, yeah, West End Star Wars, you can roll 14d6 or more on a roll, LOL. I think this one actually has some great mechanics for eliminating dice bloat. It's just the description of the mechanics. In play, it's likely easier than it seems. BGD says, Game of Thrones seems like it should be about strategies and all the different aspects of force protection and control in a medieval fantasy setting. This game doesn't seem very strategic. Well, that depends on what part of it you really want to extract, because it certainly could be. I think it could completely be about that. On the other hand, you've got characters who are basically going on an adventure as well. You've got both of these different things. So I can see, to me, that's actually one of the difficulties that I was thinking about in adapting a world, or also in writing stuff about the worlds that I'm writing in, or creating, because you can take a world. Actually, the same thing happens with Middle Earth as well. People will key in on different aspects that they like and that they want to replicate. And when you codify it into a specific game, okay, you're kind of extracting what it is that you want the game focused on, or that person thinks the game should be focused on, where actually there are probably multiple different, completely legitimate ways to play within lots of game worlds, where people just want to focus on different aspects of that. If I said that in any way. So rather than saying, this is the only way this game can be played, happens when you've got like an official book like the Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game. All right, so this is officially how you game in Westeros. Well, according to somebody's opinion, right? And there are other ways that you could definitely approach a game. Trey says, I would likely use a game of Court of Blades and just substitute in for Game of Thrones. I don't know Court of Blades, so maybe that sounds like exactly the kind of thing that BGD was talking about, focusing on the politics of the politics side of things. Well, we should go look at the house creation, because I think we did get to the basic Oh, let's do look at injuries and so damage, reducing damage. So injuries, an injury is minor but lasting compared to damage. So damage, that's your health, right? But an injury is minor but lasting compared to damage. Anytime you take damage, you can accept an injury to reduce the damage taken by an amount equal to your endurance rank. Each injury you accept imposes a -1 penalty to the result of all of your tests. You cannot accept more injuries than your endurance rank. So they're clearly interested in the adventuring side with potentially brutal combat, right? That's what they've kind of extracted for the world of World of Westeros, A Song of Ice and Fire, for what needs to be replicated at the gaming table. So, battling a savage warrior of the Burned Man, Mikkel is hit for 7 points of damage. Knowing that he can't take all of that damage, he opts to take an injury. His endurance is 3, so he can remove 3 points of damage per injury. He takes 2, reducing the damage by 6 to just 1 point. For the duration of the combat, however, he reduces all tests by -2. That's -2 penalty dice, right? And can suffer only 1 more injury. Wounds. Some attacks are so brutal, so deadly, the only way to avoid defeat is to accept a wound. A wound removes all damage from a single attack in exchange for a -1 penalty die on all tests. See, and I also think this is because it did say there were just modifiers. It did say you could just have a modifier, right? Like adding something to a die roll or subtracting something from a die roll. So when you see -1, my thoughts go first to subtract 1 from that roll. But that's -1 penalty dice. Right? So that's actually a -1, but that's meaning roll or don't roll, but you have to accept because there's nothing to roll. But it put the penalty die that removes a test die. You cannot accept more wounds than your endurance rank. If your number of wounds exceeds your endurance rank, you die. For example, an assassin leaps out of the shadows and strikes Robert with a dagger, dealing 20 points of damage, more than enough to defeat him outright. Knowing the assassin intends to kill him, Robert cannot accept that outcome. He could reduce the damage with injuries, but that would cripple him for the duration of the fight. So instead, he accepts a wound, giving him -1 penalty on all dice tests, but taking no other damage. So damage is little more than cuts, scrapes, and bruises. At the end of combat, you remove all damage to your health, okay? But injuries are more significant than damage and take longer to heal. After 1 day after gaining an injury, you may roll an endurance test. The difficulty depends on your activity level during the day. Reference the injury recovery table above. Light or no activity, moderate or strenuous activity. Here is your difficulty. A success removes 1 injury. Each additional degree removes an additional injury. A failed test, however, means you don't recover anything at all. If you fail but test by 5 or more, you gain another injury. Oh, I guess you tore it open or something. If you cannot accept another injury, you gain a wound instead. So wounds are serious injuries, taking the longest to heal and causing the most lasting harm. 1 week after gaining a wound, you may roll an endurance test. The difficulty depends on your activity level during the week. Okay, wound recovery over here. Light, moderate, or strenuous. Reference the wound recovery table. A successful test removes 1 wound. 3 degrees of success removes an additional wound for a total of 2. However, if you fail the endurance test by 5 or more, you gain another wound. If you cannot accept another wound, your wounds are already equal to your endurance, you die. And then healing. Okay. What do we think? Okay, yes, thank you. Add that one to the Discord channel. We will check that one out. Let's go over. Let me pull up this other PDF. Oh, this stuff in the way. Okay, let me go over here to this one. Take this down. So here's the full rules. If I can find them on my computer. right here. Okay. And let's go and take a look at the house creation rules. So it's got Westeros, a primer, the game rules. Okay. Character creation, house and lands. Okay. Let's get down here to right here. So character creation. So the Song of Ice and Fire assumes that most all-player characters are members of the same household, heirs of a minor lord or retainers in his guard. This model provides a ready reason why PCs would be together in the first place and trains the game's attention on building the individual character's fortunes as well as that of his house. When one character receives and brings honor and glory to the noble house, all members, from the youngest child to the oldest servant, benefit. Similarly, when another character fails and brings shame and dishonor to his house, everyone suffers. Thus, gameplay is intensely cooperative, in which each player must always balance his or her individual ambitions against those of the family. The notion of house, lineage, and blood are endemic to A Song of Ice and Fire. The stories reveal the trials and triumphs of the highborn, the rising stars, and the falling ones. Okay. How do we actually do that, though? Creating characters. Step 1. Okay. House and lands. If you and your fellow players are creating characters, is this an overview right here? Character creation summary. Step 1, house and lands. Design house and lands. Work with your fellow players to create a noble house. Step 2, character concept. Step 3, assign abilities. Okay, so house and land. You can skip this step if you were using the default house provided in this book. For detail on house creation, go to chapter 6. Okay. So where is that? So chapter 5, Destiny and Quality. Chapter 6, House and Lands. Okay, maybe this is where we need to be. Inner Light says, this does have social intrigue combat, though, which is what composure is. Hit points for social combat. I was wondering about that. I kind of thought that might be the case, that composure might be added for social situations. I thought that would be the case. I think this is one of the first games I saw that had this. I'm interested to know how that goes. So, all right, creating a house. Justice, that's what kings are for. Unlike character creation, house creation is a cooperative process in which each player has equal say about the salient features pertaining to the house. House creation involves making important decisions, rolling dice, and applying results. Okay, step 1. Ideally, your group should create your noble house before creating characters. Doing so provides a good basis for each player to build on their personas. Okay, so step 1, the realm. Westeros is a vast land having nearly every type of terrain and climate imaginable. Chapter 1, okay, that's why the primer is there, because you've got some information about these different realms. You may choose any one realm or roll 3d6 and compare to the starting random result table. Oh, where are my dice? Do I have dice laying around? I feel like we need to generate a random realm. All right, so let's see where we are going to be from. Oh, 2 1s and a 2. So 4. Oh, Dragonstone. Interesting. Okay, so the rules presented in this chapter are designed to help shape the attitudes and objectives of the player characters. While it's possible to play a campaign where the focus of the noble house is much greater, the rules here are intentionally basic to serve and enhance gameplay rather than define it. Okay, so we are from Dragonstone. Step 2, starting resources. As much as a house is defined by its place in the 7 kingdoms, I kind of feel like going through this. Might go a little bit long here, but I think we should take a look at this. Feels the good way to complete taking a look at A Song of Ice and Fire. We'll have to take a look at like the social damage and things like that at a later time, but I kind of want to finish this. So step 2, starting resources. As much as a house is defined by its place in the 7 kingdoms, its history, deeds, and alliances, because I was thinking about with Rabavania, if you're going to be adventurers, that you could do something like this to create a retinue around a knight and be some knight's retinue with the knights and the squires, and people might be traveling with that knight, and make that your adventuring party. That's why I want to take a look at this. For resources, like your character's abilities, each resource, like your character's ability, describes aspects of your family's holdings, such as the size of your lands, your house's status, wealth, and so on. Each resource has a rating that describes that greatly depending upon the power of the house, with the higher number representing greater resources and smaller number representing fewer resources. These values will fluctuate during house creation and more during gameplay, rising and falling, determining how well you play the Game of Thrones. So we do have the political part here that's going to influence the whole house. Since resources are very much part of the lands where your house resides, your starting kingdom determines your starting values. Unlike a character's abilities, your resources are not purchased with experience. Rather, they are generated randomly to reflect the deeds of those who have come before you and the circumstances surrounding your family's founding. For each resource, roll 7d6 and sum the results. I tell you what, we will not be rolling 76 right now and summing the results. We will do that later. Then find your realm on table 2-6 starting attributes and apply the modifiers to each shown on your resource. For explanations for those resources and their values, see their entries. So these are the different resources that our house can have. Defense. Defense describes fortifications, castles, keeps, towers, and other structures that help protect your holdings. Influence describes your presence in the 7 kingdoms, how other houses see you, and the notoriety attached to your name. A high influence resource typically describes one of the great houses or the royal family, while low influences resource would describe the houses of little consequences, small and unknown beyond the lands of their liege. It should be noted that holding the titles of king, queen, crown prince, or being part of the royal family, king's hand, or warden of the east, north, south, or west confers status in addition to that of being lord of whatever house the one so titled is granted. The maximum status of heirs or others in the house is still based on the maximum status of the lord. Okay. Lands. The land resources describe the size of your house's holding. Law encompasses 2 things: the extent to which the small folk respect and fear you, and the threat of bandits, brigands, and raiders. Population addresses the sheer number of people living in the lands you control. Power describes your house's military strength, the ability to muster troops and rouse banners sworn to you. Houses with low scores have fewer soldiers and no banners, while higher ones may have more banners and can arouse an entire region. So wealth covers anything from coin to cattle and everything in between. It represents your involvement in success in trade, your ability to fund improvements in your domain, hire mercenaries, and more. So we got these tables right here. So starting resources, say we were from Dragonstone, so we would get plus 20 defense, but -5 influence, -5 lands, +5 in law, no bonus to population, no bonus to power, and a -5 bonus to wealth. This seems fun. I would like this. I want to do something like this for Rapavania. So this tells us the kind of descriptions of our score. Like we were already at +10s, at +20 in defense. So it means we are defensible with at least 1 fortification, town, or castle before we even start rolling. Influence. Oh, so you can get pretty high. These go up to 70 because you're rolling 76? Law, power, population, wealth. Okay. Initial modifications. Once the starting values for each house are determined, each player gets to modify the values by rolling 1d6 and adding it to a resource of their choice. The immediate result is that larger groups of players have slightly more powerful houses because they have the benefit of more signature characters. Players may modify any resource they like, but no resource can benefit from more than 2 extra rolls. So with their house positioned in the north, the players next generate their starting resources. Each player takes a turn rolling the dice, so everyone has a chance to roll at least 1. Each resource starts with the sum of 76. The players roll and wind up with the following resources. With the starting values rolled, the group applies modifiers for their realm. Finally, each player gets to roll 1d6 and add to the resources of his or her choice. Steve goes first, wants to handle lawlessness, and adds that. Okay, so resource, starting, realm, player adjustment, total, now right there. Step 3, house history. The next step is determining your house's historical events, which is done by choosing or rolling your first founding, as shown on table 6.3, first founding. When your house was founded determines the number of historical events that can influence the final shape of your house. Chris and company have gone this far, leaving things to chance, so they opt to do so again. This time, Hal rolls a die and gets a 5, placing his house's founding sometime around the Blackfire Rebellion, which was about a century before the start of the campaign. As a recent house, their family has 1d6 historic events. Now, of course, this does potentially slow down your ability to get started at the table, right? Because I talked about how creating your character, I don't think, is really playing the game. If we sit down for 3 hours and all we do is create characters, I would not feel like we'd actually played the game. But on the other hand, if you also have to go through this, it's fun. It can be fun. Creating characters can be fun. It just may not be playing the game. Likewise, this could be fun, but it may not be actually playing the game. So, historical events. Each house has a history, chronicle of deeds. Roll 3d6 for each historical event and compare the results to table 6.5, historical events. Here they are. The first historical event rolled describes the circumstances of your house's origins, defining what sort of event elevated your family to nobility. So, table 3d6, first founding. And that's just done on table 6.3, excuse me. So, I rolled a 6 there. So that we'd be a very new house established during the War of the Usurper. And we would have 1d6 minus 2, minimum of 1. We'd have 1 historical event. So we'd get to roll on 1 historical event. Let's see what that is. So we sum up 3, 4. I'm rolling low on these dice. 4, 5, 6. Oh, madness. Defense plus, what is that? Is that plus 6 minus 2d6? Plus 6 minus 2d6 influence, plus 6 minus 2d6 lands, law, population, all the way across the board. We've got to make adjustments for madness. So let's see what that is. Inbreeding, fell secrets, disease, or mental defects can produce derangement and madness among many people of Westeros, including its rulers. A madness historical event indicates that a particular figure suffered from insanity, producing unpredictable results with positive or negative outcomes. Each resource increases by 6 and then decreases by negative 2d6, producing a range of +4 to -6. If this is your first result, your family was instead raised by an insane lord or king, as appropriate to the period of your first founding. Oh, all right. So I guess that's what happened to us. We were raised to nobility by some insane lord or king. So putting it all together, they rolled scandal. Okay. And then holdings. How much more do we have here? Oh, well, there's a lot. I think we'll have to I think we will have to continue here in this on another day. But what do you think about this? So a lot of people have recommended they like this. I mean, and said they like this specifically to look at. So this is obviously a huge part of this game. So each one of these different categories has different holdings, which I'm not exactly sure what that means. But so obviously they have dedicated a lot of page count to setting up lands and houses. So obviously they intend for this to be a major part of the game. Motto and arms. Step 5, creating motto and arms for your house. Coat of arms, creating a coat of arms. Oh, information on heraldry here. That's cool. Animals. Oh, so you can randomly generate your arms. I mean, that's cool. Retainers and household service. So obviously this is a major part. The house in action. Oh, we're going to have to study this in greater detail later. Let's see here. 7d6 is about 30. Hey, Jay. Good morning. Good to see you. Yes, this all looks like session 0 stuff. It looks like our crazy uncle killed a noble and took their house. Could have been. Yep, could have been that. All right. Well, I think I'm running a bit late here, so I do want to talk. I'm just going to run over the big rocks real fast. I realized that one of the things that I've got to do that will help get me moving with writing more of the RPGs, it seems like something that would be a ridiculous thing because you don't actually need to do it, except for in this, I need to have pictures and I need some kind of graphic to be able to put up on YouTube. So I need to get a logo put together for what the RPG that's being created here is going to be, so that when I put up that logo on a thumbnail or something like that, we know that it's connected to the creation of an RPG. So it's time to start writing that. And I have written that. It's time to start putting some more information out. So one of my big rocks is getting the Faded Edge logo. So Faded Edge is what I'm thinking about calling it. Some type of logo done so we can put some type of visual marker on videos and things like that that might pertain to that. I've got to email people and let them know that the Call of Cthulhu giveaway is coming out. Perhaps invite some more people to the Discord server and make sure people are there and know about the Last Cultists show that's coming out. I also need to schedule an important meeting here. So those are my 3 big rocks. And then I've got to do other things as well. I'm still trying to clear out big rocks that have been stacking up on my lists. So anyway, I hope that you also think about your big rocks. I'll be back with you tonight at the wind down. And Christmas is coming. So I got to also think about giving presents. And actually, I'm thinking about doing an experience-based Christmas again this Christmas, taking people out for an experience. COVID kind of crushed that for a little while. But now we are on the other side of that. And so trying to think about experience-based Christmas. All right. I am out of here. Let's be productive. See you tonight.